Allergy can be thought of as a fault in our immune reaction wherein high levels of IgE are produced in response to exposure of the body towards relatively non-threatening substances like pollen. These substances which trigger the allergic responses are named allergens. The high IgE levels trigger inappropriate responses in the body. Normally, when an antigen enters the body, it gets taken up by the antigen presenting cells, which in turn activates the B lymphocytes with the help of T helper cells. The B cells mature into plasma cells, which produce immunoglobulins. The immunoglobulins so produced are of four types, namely IgG, IgM, IgA, and IgE. All except IgE attaches to the antigen and forms an antigen-antibody complex, which destroys the antigen through the complement pathway. IgE, on the other hand, is not a big player in the complement pathway. It acts mainly against the intestinal parasites. The proper mechanism is not well understood. When an allergen enters the body for the first time, it is recognized as an antigen by the body, and IgE specific to the allergen is produced in large amounts by the plasma cells. These IgEs so produced plays a pivotal role in the allergic reaction. The IgEs are particularly attracted to a receptor called the Fc epsilon R1, which attracts the Fc part of the immunoglobulin. This receptor is present mainly in two cell types of importance, namely mast cells and basophils. Thus, the IgEs will get attached to the mast cells and basophils. When the same allergen is exposed to the body for the second time, an allergen antibody complex is formed between the mast cell bound immunoglobulin and the allergen. This leads to the degranulation of mast cells, releasing histamine and various other factors which cause the allergic symptoms to develop. Histamine is a major player in the development of these symptoms. Apart from the adverse reactions caused by the histamines during allergy, it also plays some important role in conditions such as tissue damage. Histamine is mainly released upon three stimuluses: allergy, tissue damage, and by certain drugs. Drugs such as morphine can cause histamine release. In case of tissue damage, there will be damage to mast cells which releases histamine. Now, let's discuss in detail about histamine. Histamine is an amine autocoid derived from an amino acid histidine. If you don't know what an autocoid is, it is a biological factor which is produced by a tissue locally and it acts on the same tissue. Histamine is produced by the decarboxylation of an amino acid histidine and stored mainly in the mast cells in the peripheral tissue. In stomach, it is stored in the enterochromaffin-like cells and it aids in acid secretion by the parietal cells. In the brain, histamine is found inside neurons as a neurotransmitter and it exhibits effects on several other neurotransmitters and pathways. The stored histamine in these tissues get released on specific signals. The released histamine exerts its action by binding to histamine receptors, namely H1, H2, H3, and H4. H1 and H2 are the most important ones, and we'll be discussing on that. H1 receptors are found on the smooth muscles of mainly bronchi and intestine, and also in large and small blood vessels, nerve endings, brain, etc. When histamine binds to the receptors, it causes the smooth muscles to contract, leading to bronchoconstriction and intestinal spasm. The large blood vessels contract while the small blood vessels dilate, leading to the formation of redness and edema in local tissues. In the nerve endings, it creates pain and pruritus. In the brain, the binding can affect several neurotransmitters and pathways. It can promote wakefulness, reduce appetite, etc. H2 receptors are found in the parietal cells of stomach and in small blood vessels. In stomach, the binding of histamine stimulates acid secretion by the parietal cells, and in the small blood vessels, it stimulates vasodilation. Antihistamines are drugs used to counter the effect of histamine in the body. If you want me to create a video on that, please hit the like and share button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.